Welcome back to another episode of the Higher Level Podcast. So this is our first episode back in 2021, and I'm joined with James Doolan, and tonight our special guest is Joe Mccolgan. Lads, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well.
It feels a bit weird saying Happy New Year, but it's pretty much fucking the same as last year. Yeah. Who would have thought we would have still been in this position? I mean, James, I thought we would have been back in the studio recording by now, but we're still sitting in the living room and Jim's in that try to get the podcast going. So more of the same, I think.
Aye, what can you do? Okay, you just have to get through it, man.
Aye, that's basically it, mate. It's just hopefully it doesn't crack on for too much longer. But Joe, from what you're saying, it doesn't sound quite as bad or as strict at the moment over your neck of the woods as we've maybe got in Scotland just now.
We've had a lockdown for we're in week 2 of our lockdown.
Yeah,
but it's changing now. From Friday, it's going to be law to stay at home. So, well, like I don't know how that's really going to affect things, but like schools and stuff will remain shut, whereas previously they weren't. In terms of training, I don't know how that's going to affect us, because at the moment we are allowed to train as elite athletes. There's a squad of guys who fit into that category in our gym, so. Like we have like the actual gym is shut to everybody apart from the guys who are fighting, and that, which is shit for the gym, but it's really good for us because we all the sessions are really specific towards fights. You know, like when you're running a normal gym, you have classes that cater for beginners, intermediate, advanced, and the fighters. Now it's just only fighters in the sessions, and for those fighters that are competing, the sessions focus around those guys and what they need to get done. So like for last camp, it was probably the best camp I've ever had. Paul Hughes, he was fighting as well. He was saying the same thing. It was just guys were just showing up to help us, and that was it. It was really, really selfish, but it was unreal. So I don't know how that's going to impact us, or the new restrictions or the new legalities around everything on Friday are going to change that. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll find out. You know, like you boys are saying before we joined here, like it's a nightmare for you, but hopefully that doesn't happen over here.
I think for guys like yourself, Joe, I think I would imagine you will still be able to swim, because obviously you're signed to a large promotion, i.e. CageWarriors. Not be the same for the likes of Danny and stuff like that in the gym at the UFC, James. I don't think that will change. I wouldn't imagine anyway.
The good thing about Cage is
go
ahead.
Sorry, what were you saying, James?
It looks like the professional athletes are still allowed to train. They basically didn't want to shut down sport, I think, after kind of restarting it. So we'll be in the same boat. Like, we'll have the general public, the guys that actually pay to make the gym able to run and function, can train, but the fighters can come in and get pretty much personalised kind of coaching sessions and stuff. But I found the atmosphere is just not the same. That, like, all the guys we've worked with since March, we've been working in little groups for everybody who's competed in that time. We've all kind of levelled up. Like, everybody's got better because they are, what Joe's saying, they're getting really focused, kind of specific training, so you're getting more individual time with these guys. But the atmosphere in the gym's just not been the same, man. We've usually got like 60 odd people in here every night, and just a good laugh and shit. But it's like right business like, you know?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's different,
man. Whilst I said it was the best training camp, it was probably the least enjoyable. It was cold. there wasn't anybody, like you're like walking into we have a massive gym over here, and you're just kind of walking into it. That's a big like kind of industrial shed, and it's just you and a pad holder, for an hour and a half. You're like, oh, fair, okay. It's not like, so it's like the crack isn't as good as if the whole gym is buzzing, and that motivates you as well, like coming into a squad full of people who are all trying to train hard. But you know what, it's always business, so it doesn't really matter.
I guess the thing for you as well, Joe, obviously we'll jump on your last fight. You went in there against Kieran Lister, undefeated at the time, and a lot of hype behind him, and you went in there and won in quite spectacular fashion. So whatever you were doing leading up to that fight is clearly worked on the night.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, like, I don't think there's anything skill-wise that, it did differently to get me the result. I think it was just kind of going in and maybe like changing my mental approach. Not even doing anything like, like practicing like mental strategies or like my, mental conditioning or anything. It's just kind of like trying to enjoy things a bit, relax and let the hands go, as my coaches always say. And that's kind of what it did. I just went in. I was confident wherever the fight would go. I felt like, he was in all his fights, he's been striking, and he's never really shot for a takedown. People have been shooting in at him. So I thought it's going to be a striking match. And that was the first time I've ever fought a southpaw as well. And in my gym, we have really, really good southpaw fighters. And I brought in a couple of really good southpaws. So I sparred a lot with a guy called Sean McComb. He's probably one of the biggest prospects coming up now at 66 kilo in pro boxing. And then Garrett Smiley, who's the number one 70 kilo Thai fighter in Ireland. They're both southpaws. So I was sparring them week in, week out. So and I'm already really good at fighting southpaw. So I don't know, it just kind of felt really comfortable in there. And, whenever I feel comfortable and whenever I'm relaxed and whenever I'm in a good place mentally, I feel like I could probably beat everyone, like fighting the UFC, and I could beat a lot of the guys as well. Without trying. I
guess the other thing as well, going into the fight with Kieran Lister, was you had the time to prepare, whereas before against Mason Jones, was it 6 days notice that fight was it was 6 days notice, but like it wasn't because I was already training for a fight. I was training for a guy called Rafael Masado, and I don't know if you know him, but he's like 5'6". He's a real stocky lightweight, and he doesn't have any stand up. It's an overhand right, and he just shoots in. And like, I could fight guys like that in my sleep, not a problem. Yeah. So like, I really didn't train that much for it. I'd started a new job, and I was kind of like, well, I don't need to go to training like 6 days a week, twice a day. Not that I could anyway, but like, I was just really relaxed about the whole thing, and as the fight was drawn in, as we were getting closer to the fight, I started feeling a bit, oh Jesus Christ, maybe I haven't done as much training as I should. And but I was like, it's all right, I'll go in and I'll smoke them. And then like everyone started pulling out of the fights, and I was like, if this guy pulls out and they give me someone else, I'm going to be in trouble. And it happened, and they give me Mason Jones, which is fine. Like, I'd always thought that I would fight Mason Jones, but jumping from that to Mason Jones is like, it's a massive difference, right? Yeah.
Not only that, it's going from fighting 3 rounds to 5 rounds against a guy who's I've never seen getting tired before. And I was just thinking, for fuck's sake. So like, it was just, for me, whilst I'd been training for a fight, I hadn't really. And the face Mason Jones, you need to be training and focusing on Mason Jones for 8 weeks. And you, not only that, but you need to be training for a 5-round fight. You need to be training like you're training for a 5-round fight. It's like, so for me, it was a 6-day notice fight. I jumped in, didn't go my way, but I know, like, had I had time to prepare, like, it would have been a different outcome.
Got to ask as well, psychologically, that when you get that switch, that has got to play in your mind. I mean, was that playing? Obviously, when you then switched the opponent to Mason, and like you say, you're thinking about, fuck, I've not trained as much as I should have. Psychologically, is that playing in your mind all the time?
Yeah, 100%. Like, I've had opponents drop out and change really late notice before, and it is mentally draining. But you can always flip the switch and you can always get focused. But for this time, I actually couldn't, because everybody was telling me the fight's not going ahead. Things were closing down. In fact, the guy who was at the reception desk in the hotel when we were on our way to the fight venue was like, "This fight's not going ahead. Everything's shutting down from like 11 o'clock tonight." There was no point leading up to that fight that I actually could focus and get that tunnel vision that fighters need, in that week of the fight. Everything was shutting down. Like, the venue changed from London to Manchester 3 days out from the fight. So I just felt like everything was stacked against me. But then again, everything was stacked against Mason. He still showed up and he still performed. And, I suppose that's what champions do. And, if I want to fight for a championship, if I want to fight at the elite level, then in my head after that fight, I just said something needs to change. So that was it. I wasn't going to be taking a fight unless I was 100% in. That's why I wasn't able to fight on the trilogy card in September. But I was able to fight in this one because I knew, all right, okay, I can commit here for 12 weeks to train. And we could see the difference whenever I show up fully prepared and fully ready for the fight.
Is that differences came directly from the Mason Jones fight? Like, 100%. The last fight, you looked incredible. I thought, like, you could see you were calm and stuff, doing. You looked comfortable, and Kieran Lister's a good fighter as well. But you looked like levels above him. So has it just been that change since the Mason Jones thing? Like, yeah,
because I don't think I had, like, even in my other fights, I don't really think I performed that well in any of my fights. Even like the one that everyone talks about, the Peter Quayle fight, like, I still don't think I performed well at all. Like, I look back on that and think, Jesus, I was brutal in that fight. Really rigid. I was just ultra aggressive. But it's so, like, I've always thought that I haven't like shown how good I can like fight, or and I think maybe the Mason Jones, that was the turning point for me. And I'll never ever go into a fight underprepared or not feeling ready. So like, I'll only ever be committed to fights that I know I can give 110% to. And yeah, just like, I don't know, just you mature every fight and you learn lessons. And for me, the lesson that I learned, it might be hard to articulate what exactly it is, but there was something different in it, and I feel certainly different after it. And I don't know, it's like, maybe whenever you go through something difficult, makes everything else seem a bit easier. Maybe that's what it is. Because in fight week, I didn't really care. Like, I was really enjoying it. It was great to see everyone be back in the, whereas before I'd have been like, fuck, pressure. The weight cut, the water fell off me. Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, it just felt so different. It felt enjoyable. It felt like what a fighter should feel like before a fight. Long may continue.
Well, that's it. I think that's the main thing. And James, I'd love to get your opinion on that. You obviously heard Joe talking there, and that experience leading up to the Mason Jones fight. Obviously, he's took something out of that and bettered himself. With fighters, especially guys you're coaching as well, is that something you look for your guys to do if things don't go their way, that they learn and improve and take stuff forward with them?
I think if you don't, then it's almost like a double loss. So you need to, there will always be some kind of lessons to come from it and stuff. But it can be sometimes quite hard to just pinpoint what's caused that or performance-wise. And it's just really hard to be consistent with level of performance. Like, you can have 10 fights and you can win the 10 of them, but you don't feel the same in the 10 of them. And there's so many factors and so many things going on. So you just try to, what you see with these great fighters is they're just consistent. Mm-hmm. And what you've seen with Joe since that fight was it just looks like he's found that level of consistency now, and it's kind of showing his true level and stuff like that. But those wee things are just setbacks, and that's always, you can tell, like, when you talking about bringing in southpaw sparring partners there for the Lister fight, when you give somebody 6 days to prepare for Mason Jones, after preparing for like a 5'6" kind of grappling guy, it kind of goes against the purpose of the entire fight camp if you train in a way that you're really relying on kind of game plans and pressing to your strengths and bringing in guys that can replicate the style you're going to face. And then people don't realise the difference between the 3 to 5 rounds as well. It's a massive thing, because there's times when in the 3-round fight you can put your foot in the gas a wee bit and go, whereas if you've got 5 rounds to go, you have to be a wee bit more reserved. So you need to really be aware of how you're going to approach the 5 rounds, and then obviously you're going to have to be doing everything in the gym preparing for 5 rounds. And 6 days is fight week, so you're basically making weight at that point. You can mentally visualise and talk with your coaches and stuff, but the physical preparation's already done by then.
Yeah, and just the other thing quickly as well, obviously, James, we were speaking about this a wee bit before we started. So we had Jack Grant and Agi Sadara who fought for the belt. First of all, Joe, just like your thoughts on that. Were you surprised at how that fight went? And obviously, Sadari ended up getting the belt. Did that result surprise you? And Jack's performance as well, how he fought the fight?
I haven't actually watched the full fight back. I was just watching clips of it out the back. And Jack didn't really look... he didn't look himself. I didn't think, usually Jack's fucking wild, explosive, fast. He didn't really look like that, but I suppose I was only watching it in the later round, so maybe it slowed down a bit. But I thought Jack would have absolutely ran through that guy. I mean, he has a good record, but his opposition hasn't been great, whereas Jack's beaten some really, really good guys. So just based on that, I thought Jack was going to run through him. But yeah, so I am a wee bit surprised. I know everyone's saying that it was a close fight and maybe Jack should have got the nod, but it's exciting now that, we've got a new champion. And I think everybody in the lightweight division is calling out to fight him. So it's going to be interesting to see who they're going to give it to. I don't know who they're going to give it to. I would love it. I would love it myself, but who knows? Probably give it to Paddy Pimblett or something.
Well, Paddy's been. I can't even remember the last time Paddy fought. It's been.
Paddy fought in March.
A while.
He fought in March. Yeah, and before that he hadn't fought in a while.
Right, that's right. He had hand injuries, didn't he?
Maybe like 3 years he's had one fight. I could be wrong. But he had a first round stoppage in March, and he's a lot of hype for him. So I could see why they would give it to Paddy, and he's fought at that kind of elite level.
Yeah,
for a while now. I don't know. I would say that it's more like I would say the decision is going to be based on what's good for business. Paddy's managed by IFM. I'm managed by IFM. I don't think any of the other guys at the top of that division are managed by IFM. So I can't see me and Paddy will be matched. That's definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they might say, right, well, you know what, we'll give it to Joe. I mean, so we've got someone, an IFM guy with the belt, and then Paddy Pimblett to give him someone else, and he goes off to the UFC. Or they might just give it to Paddy Pimblett. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is that I match up really well against Aggie. He's a grappler. Like, I think I would finish him handily enough. Like, I don't think he'd be my hardest fight to date. So I would love that.
Yeah, and your memory's good with Paddy. Obviously, he beat Decky Dalton in his last fight in March, and then it was the loss he saw him back in September. I think that was 2018. So
really, right?
It's been a while for Paddy, obviously, with injuries with hand and that. So, but again, I don't think you've done yourself any harm with the fight and the finish against Kieran Lister. I would imagine you're certainly in Ian Dean's thoughts for that fight. What do you think, James? Do you think Joe is potentially the next guy to go in and fight Aggie for the belt?
I actually forgot about Paddy, to be honest.
Like you say, I think he's no fought in a while, and between the Decky Dalton fight and saw him back, obviously he grappled against Stevie Ray.
Yeah, I think his hand was still in a cast, like maybe November, December there, man. So I think he's had surgery and stuff. I can't remember. Justin's quite pal. Justin for the gym's quite friendly with a lot of the boys and keeps in touch with them. But I'm pretty sure Paddy was still in a cast then. So March might be optimistic for him. But I think after the last trilogy, I came away thinking I actually thought Jack Grant was going to win as well. Pretty much the same reason. I thought his his opponent wasn't used to that level of competition. I watched the whole fight. It was a good fight. I think the decision, him losing, was fair. If you watch it, I thought that it was scored proper. I was also surprised with him. I thought he looked like he's fell in love with boxing a wee bit, and he looked like an actual systemised boxer who's moving and trying to work behind a jab and stuff. And he never really, I've never seen him fight like that before. He's usually quite unorthodox and kind of springy, and you don't know what the fuck's coming at him, and he's fun to watch. But
if you look at Jack, and like if you watch him on the feet, it's like it's really kind of it's really unnatural looking. But if you watch him on the ground, oh my, like he is like, it's beautiful. It's like he does everything perfectly, but on the feet it's just not that. Maybe he has been working like loads on the feet and just trying to rip, and obviously he's fighting a grappler as well, so he probably thought I have the advantage on the feet.
I actually picked him to win by submission, I think, for that fight. I thought he'd maybe sub the guy, but I don't even remember him looking to grapple until pretty late on, and by that point he might have been behind on points. Going back to the title thing, I don't know if Paddy will be ready for March. I think coming away for the trilogy, I was pretty sure it was going to be you next for the belt, or Mehdi after how he kind of took out Stevie. So I'll be one of you two guys, I'd imagine. But if you're signed with a business-wise, if you're signed with the management company, it makes sense for it to be you. And the performance you put on was excellent. So hopefully you get it in March anyway, dude. Yeah,
hopefully. We'll see. I would say that, like, I think Ian maybe wants me to have one more, but who knows what? Like, as I say, it's probably going to be a business decision at the end of the day. Whatever's best for business. But yeah, like if it is, like, the stars have aligned, because, you know, right now, like, I would be ready to jump back into like a proper, really difficult camp, and you know, for 5 rounds, and it's against the person who, like, I'm built for fighting, you know, that kind of grappler style. So yeah, I feel like the stars would be aligned if it happened, but if it doesn't, then sure, on to the next one.
Yeah, and one thing I'd like to say as well about one thing through last year is CageWarriors trilogy cards. They have been honest, they've been outstanding. Obviously, with so much MMA being off, the UFC's been prevalent with a Bellator around, but James, I'll get you to jump in. You've obviously been down cornering at these cards. I mean, they have been brilliant, haven't they? The CageWarriors trilogy cards have been great. Some of the fights have been spectacular, outstanding.
I think that people aren't aware of the logistics of pulling those shows off. I was at both of them, obviously, and the fights are excellent. Like, Ian Dean does such a good job. I don't remember being any bad fights, and you've almost like got the kind of rise of some new prospects just for the cards, like that kid Figlet, and then obviously Jake Hadley kind of was winning a look and stuff. But the standard of both of the trilogy kind of 3 shows each time was brilliant. And I think, like, CageWarriors could have easily pulled the plug on that shit. It wouldn't have been easy putting these shows on. And the level of it was excellent. Like, you can see the level of these shows compared to, you're seeing more and more guys coming off the Dana White's Tuesday night contender thing, and most of the guys at CageWarriors would walk through that level of competition, I think. So it's been cool, man. It's gave us something to do in the gym, getting fighters ready for it, and then out with actually having your own guys on. Like, I think I've watched every single fight over both of those trilogy events.
Yeah, they've been brilliant. They've definitely been, and obviously it helps for people wanting to watch them in the UK that we don't need to stay up to stupid o'clock. Exactly. That is always a massive bonus. So, lads, I don't want to look back in 2020 too much, because we'll focus just on MMA stuff now. So I'll get you to rack through your brains for a wee minute and think back over the year. James, I'll ask you first. What fights have stood out for you over the year? What fights do you think back and go, fuck, that was good?
Oh, fuck.
UFC ones? Anyone?
Yeah, anything, mate, anything. Even if it's the QFC, the Quarantine Fight Club fights, I'm happy for you to chuck them in as well.
Oh, there's some good fights at the QFC. Pacey Green every week. I liked Adesanya versus Costa was one of my favourite fights. It was more just because you were getting this pure martial artist, like technician. Everyone's super clean and with a purpose. Versus a big, like, physical kind of powerhouse bully guy. That was one of my favourite fights. There was so many good fights last year, but even back to seeing like McGregor back at the start of the year fighting Cerrone, just elevate stuff a wee bit, and then obviously the Khabib Gaethje fight, just because everybody thought that was going to be competitive and stuff, buying into a lot of the kind of the UFC's marketing and stuff, and then just watching how Khabib's dominated somebody as dangerous as Gaethje was impressive, man. Fuck knows, put me on the spot there a wee bit.
I did.
They three kind of stood out for me. I'm pretty sure there's some other good fights, but
there's like we had was it Moreno and Figueroa? Obviously, that was recent, so that's still fresh in the memory. Before this thought goes out my head, I want to ask you. You mentioned Adesanya there, so obviously John Jones is now left the light heavyweight division, and he's moved up to heavyweight. And kind of after that, then Adesanya's went up to fight Big Jan. Do you think that was just a timing thing, or do you think it was consciously Adesanya moving up once Jones was out the picture?
I think was that the Vicar or James?
Just jump in. I'll let you jump on that, Joe. Well, just the thought was in my head.
Oh, okay. I think it was an opportunity to have an easy fight. I think Adesanya, I think most guys would be jump at the fight, John. Like, I mean, he's old, and I suppose he keeps defying the odds and winning the fights. But I think everyone going into that fight's going to think, "Fuck, I'm going to destroy this guy." I think that's what Adesanya thought. Had John Jones not vacated the belt, I don't think Adesanya would have been rushing up the light heavyweight at this stage. I think he intends to fight him, but I just think this is a perfect opportunity for Adesanya, and that's why he's gone up.
Yeah, and he's kind of Blachowicz is almost built for a guy like Adesanya, or vice versa. It's just these. But when you look, James mentioned the Costa fight; they're kind of similar, big, powerful, and it's just Adesanya's shown what he can do against types like that.
I just don't see anybody beating Adesanya on the feet. Everyone talks about, I don't know, who was it, the guy who knocked Adesanya out? Pierre?
He's Brazilian dude.
Alex
Pereira, that's it.
Yeah. But Adesanya was lighting him up as well. He just got caught. Adesanya is just as elite as they come. And I think John Jones would struggle against Adesanya as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is the right time for Adesanya to go up and have a handy fight and then be the double champ.
What do you think, James? It was a perfect opportunity for Israel to move up.
I think the timing's just perfect for him. I think the guys don't ever do anything by chance at that gym. Adesanya, there's interviews with him maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and he's talking about moving up and stuff like that. And I think with Jones moving up to heavyweight, it's just speeded up what was inevitable. He was always going to move up at some point. I don't think Jones will be back to light heavyweight, because it looks like he's going to end up massive with the weightlifting and stuff. I don't see anybody at light heavyweight beating Adesanya either. It's a weird division, man. Jones has been at the top for so long, but there's only really him and 1 or 2 other guys, and the rest of it's pretty shallow talent wise. Much kind of like middleweight, but I think Adesanya could potentially defend both those belts for a long time.
And he cuts him off the either. I think he just kind of rocks around and around, 93 odd kilos or something.
Yeah. I think Jones moving up is good for both divisions, to be honest with you. I think it brings a wee bit of excitement back into the light heavyweight division. It certainly piques your interest in the heavyweight division. Jones against Ngannou, Jones against Stipe. I mean, they're all fights people definitely want to see. So it kind of breathes a bit of life back into both of those divisions.
Definitely.
As well. And Joe, so fight-wise, looking back over the year, obviously I've sprung this one on you a wee bit. Anything that stands out in your mind?
I would say the Adesanya Costa was the most impressive UFC performance.
Yeah.
Best fight would have been Poirier and Dan Hooker. Oof,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable. Outside of the UFC, probably the most impressive performance for me was probably under the radar, but I just remember sitting watching and going, Jesus Christ, that was it was so impressive. It was in the first trilogy card, the wee Brazilian bantamweight. He fought he fought, is it Adam Wilson or Ryan Wilson? Adam Wilson, I think it is.
Yeah.
And Adam Wilson is I really rate him very highly. Really good boxer, and he ragdolled him. I've never seen anyone as aggressive. He destroyed him, and he walked away, and he wasn't even breathing heavy. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is going on? So that was obviously didn't have in the second fight. He couldn't keep that up in the second, third round in the previous trilogy card, but he was probably the most impressive. Side of the UFC performance I've seen in the year.
We've not really had a chance to talk about this finish on the podcast as well, James. So, Joaquin Buckley, the what was it again? He caught the leg, then it was like a spinning
back kick.
A spinning back kick. What did you think of that finish?
It was inventive. I think everybody in the gym was trying that for the week after it. Nobody really done it, but it was. I think it's probably something he's never done before. He would probably claim that he does, but it's like he just pulled it out in the heat of the moment. And when it lands like that, it's spectacular, isn't it? It's like it's like the Terry Etam thing with Barboza. You're going to see that forever in the highlight reels and whatever else. But it looked like a spur of the moment. He's thought, I'll give this a bash, or probably not even thought, but just done it. You see him turning and running away, and he looks back, and the guy's fucking lying half dead. But it was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, it's a catch-22 for a fighter. If you try something like that, if it goes well, I mean, your name's going to be everywhere, and it's going to potentially elevate your career massively. But more often than not, those type of things don't go so well. Would you ever chance something like that, Joe?
Would I? Fuck. I threw a spinning back fist in my third amateur fight, and I kind of made the decision at that point, that'll be the last time I ever do that again. It looks so bad. I can appreciate it was a good knockout, but I'm not into that. For me, I wouldn't have put that as knockout of the year. I prefer a clean body shot KO or something really nice, like technical boxing.
Sort of the Garcia knockout the other day, Campbell. And he caught the body shot. That was good, but that as well, he just threw it in wild and he wasn't protected himself. But there's just I can't remember it now, but there was a body shot in MMA. It was a couple of years ago. It was on ACB, and it was an Australian guy. And I'll send you the link to it. Just the most technical body shot I've ever seen, and the guy just crumbled like folded him.
Aldo's body shot stoppage in Meccano was like that. He's touched him in the body, I think, with the right and the left hook, and he's done that. It's like a delayed reaction. He's took a couple steps back and folded him. Yeah, so it's beautiful when you see it done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you talk about spinning back fists there, Joe, my mind immediately goes to Chael Sonnen against Anderson Silva.
That's what it was like.
That's like the opposite side. That's the advert for don't try this shit.
Exactly.
If you're not comfy with it. We'll just wrap up in a couple of minutes here. I quite like to get both your thoughts on. Obviously, there's been a lot of stuff happening in the UFC's lightweight division. Obviously, we've got Conor Poirier 2 coming up, and Oliveira and Gaethje coming up as well. James, how do you... Well, first of all, Oliveira, what a performance in his last fight against Tony. For a guy that's been in the UFC that long, he is really now starting to find his feet and come into his own.
He's probably my favourite fighter of the year last year, Oliveira. I thought he was brilliant. Every time you see him, you can see he was getting better and stuff. It seems like everyone's just kind of fell into place for him. His technique, even mentality-wise, he was known before as kind of capitulating a wee bit when stuff didn't go his way, but he looks bulletproof right now, and I thought he had a great year. I think title-wise, if Conor's about, there's no question who's going to be involved in title fights. Like we were talking about the CageWarriors, it's all business. And he's going to sell more pay-per-views than anyone else. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, it's getting pretty close now. I wouldn't have been surprised if they made Dustin and Conor for the belt, but I don't even think it's at lightweight international. So I'd like to see Oliveira fight for the title at some point. He's been in the UFC for such a long time. His resume in the UFC is pretty big. And then he's a guy that, if you'd spoke about him fighting for the title 2 or 3 years ago, when he was maybe missing weight at featherweight and shit, people would have laughed at you. But after the year he's had last year, and especially what he done with Ferguson, I'd like to see him get a chance. And he could cause any of them problems, I think. Now that Khabib's away, that division is completely wide open, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think of Charles Oliveira and you look back to, like, for example, the Cub Swanson fight, what happened in that, and then you see him kind of opened my eyes to him, especially was that fight against Kevin Lee as well. It's been a great year for him. And Joe, what's your thoughts on both the matchups?
Well, I see Oliveira's fighting Gaethje, is he? Yeah. So I think Gaethje wins that fight. Although I would like Oliveira to win. He had, as James said, he had an unreal year. But I think Gaethje will stop him. I think McGregor beats Poirier. And then
Chandler Hooker as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. I think Dan Hooker destroys Chandler. I think there's just levels, and I think Chandler's class, but I think everything is stacked against him. Like, he's fighting a tall guy who can defend takedowns and is excellent with his knees. Like, I've never seen anyone as good with and as accurate. He throws his knee up like a jab. It's incredible. I think that Dustin Poirier just has his way with Chandler. I don't know what's going to happen after all those fights. I don't think they'll make the Poirier McGregor fight a title fight. I think if McGregor wins, he'll fight, I don't know, the person who's going to bring in the most revenue for the company.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it would be Khabib. Let's no mince our words there. It's Khabib and McGregor's
exactly
who's going to be the one that makes the money, but it's whether Khabib comes back out. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, the year's looking pretty good. Obviously, we've got Cater Holloway as well coming up. So, and then we're wait with bated breath for CageWarriors to announce what's happening, and hopefully that announcement will be you getting a title shot, Joe.
Oh yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's it. Well, listen, thanks very much for joining us in the show, mate. We appreciate it. And James, as always, thanks for jumping on and co-hosting the show with us.
No worries, mate.
Right. Cheers, lads. Thanks very much.
All right, cheers. See you later, boys.
Bye.